Now we see Earth as a world of bustling cities, dense forests, and vast plains. But let's go back, way back, before dinosaurs, mammals, or even complex plants. Around 541 million years ago, Earth was an alien place, covered mostly by shallow seas and scattered land masses, with volcanoes spewing strange gases into an unrecognizable atmosphere. This was the dawn of the Paleozoic era, a time when our world's surface was wild and unstable, shaped by collisions of land masses and shifting oceans. Life clung to the oceans, where it began taking its first primitive forms. There were no birds or flowers, just odd, armored creatures, strange shelled organisms, and early coral drifting over sandy seabeds. Yet within these waters, an explosion of life would soon set off a chain of transformations, each new era bringing Earth closer to what we know today. Over millions of years, the planet would mold itself, forming the foundation that one day allowed dinosaurs and even humanity to rise. In those ancient seas, life was ready to break free. The Cambrian Period sparked an explosion unlike anything Earth had seen, filling oceans with creatures that transformed them into teeming ecosystems. Life had existed for billions of years, but now something sparked a new age. Strange forms began appearing everywhere, like trilobites, with hard shells and segmented bodies scuttling across the seafloor. Jelly-like creatures drifted through the water, feeding on floating particles, and bizarre, soft-bodied animals claimed the dark seabeds. The first coral reefs emerged, forming bustling marine cities that sheltered a vast diversity of life, from tiny shelled brachiopods to spiny sea sponges. Here, organisms competed fiercely for survival, triggering an arms race that led to new traits and defenses. Predator and prey drove each other's evolution, crafting a dynamic ecosystem where each creature played a vital role. Within these Cambrian seas, nearly every blueprint for future animal life took shape. Primitive eyes, shells, and complex body plans evolved, setting the stage for life's next bold step, toward the land waiting just beyond the ocean's edge. The Cambrian seas were thriving, but life had begun to push boundaries. By the Silurian and Devonian periods, roughly 430 million years ago, some life forms took their first steps onto the untouched land above. Simple plants were among the earliest pioneers, clinging to damp shorelines, forming low moss-like mats that spread slowly over rocky coastlines. These plants anchored themselves, absorbing nutrients from soil and air, transforming barren shores into green landscapes for the first time. As these plants grew, they altered the environment, creating pockets of shade, moisture, and soil that invited other forms of life. Small arthropods, like scorpions and millipedes, followed, using these plants for food and shelter. They crawled out of the sea, bringing with them simple respiratory systems that allowed them to breathe air. This new world was challenging, with harsh sunlight and open spaces, but arthropods adapted quickly, evolving tough exoskeletons to withstand the rough conditions of land. These early plants and arthropods became the architects of the first ecosystems on Earth. With each new generation, plants grew taller, stabilizing soils and creating miniature forests that, in turn, supported more arthropods and other evolving life. This was life's first foothold beyond the oceans, a fragile but determined step that would one day lead to towering forests and complex land ecosystems. With plants and arthropods settled on land, Earth was ready for its next transformation. Around 360 million years ago, the Carboniferous period began, draping the planet in vast, humid swamps filled with towering ferns and dense forests of strange, spore-bearing plants. Oxygen levels soared, reaching nearly double today's levels, creating an atmosphere that fueled life in unprecedented ways. It was a time of giants. Plants stretched high into the canopy, and insects grew to massive proportions. Ancient dragonflies with wingspans nearly a meter wide soared above, while huge millipedes, some as long as human arms, crawled through dense undergrowth. The damp, swampy conditions allowed plant material to pile up faster than it could decay, trapping carbon and setting the stage for the immense coal deposits we rely on today. Over millions of years, this rich organic matter compressed into thick layers of coal buried deep within the earth. Meanwhile, vertebrates were adapting to life on land. Amphibians flourished, taking advantage of swampy waters and lush habitats. Some evolved into early reptiles, the first vertebrates capable of living fully on dry land. These new land dwellers developed tough, scaly skin and shelled eggs, freeing them from water for reproduction. This shift was revolutionary, giving life the tools it needed to conquer dry environments. The Carboniferous was an era of lush abundance, one that would lay the foundations for ecosystems still seen today. But it was also fragile, as Earth was about to enter a period of drastic climate changes that would reshape life once again. As Earth transitioned from the swampy abundance of the Carboniferous, a drier, harsher era began. The Permian Period, around 298 million years ago. The lush swamps gave way to sprawling deserts, vast plains, and dry forests as the planet's climate shifted. The continents, once scattered, gradually collided, forming the supercontinent Pangaea. This new landmass was immense but harsh, with extreme temperatures and arid conditions challenging life like never before. In these unforgiving landscapes, reptiles rose as dominant land creatures. Unlike amphibians tied to watery habitats, reptiles thrived in dry climates thanks to their scaly skin and the ability to lay eggs on land. Early mammal-like reptiles, known as synapsids, began to appear, showcasing traits like differentiated teeth and stronger jaw muscles that hinted at mammalian evolution. Among them was Dimetrodon, a predator with a striking sail on its back, possibly used for regulating body temperature. Life in the Permian evolved for resilience. Plants developed tough, woody tissues to withstand arid conditions, while animals grew larger and more robust. Ecosystems adapted to the extremes of drought and intense sun, marking a pivotal point in Earth's history. But life's resilience would soon be put to the ultimate test. At the end of the Permian, a catastrophic event, the largest extinction in Earth's history, would wipe out nearly 90% of species, paving the way for an entirely new chapter and preparing the world for the eventual rise of dinosaurs. As the Permian Period drew to a close, Earth faced an unimaginable crisis. Around 252 million years ago, a series of catastrophic events triggered what would become the largest extinction in history, known as the Great Dying. The atmosphere filled with toxic gases as volcanic eruptions in Siberia spewed massive amounts of ash and lava, darkening the skies and releasing sulfur and carbon dioxide into the air. Oceans became stagnant and acidic, depleted of oxygen, and vast stretches of marine life suffocated. On land, temperatures soared, creating an inhospitable environment where few species could survive. This extinction was brutal. Nearly 90% of all marine species and 70% of terrestrial life were wiped out. Forests vanished, leaving barren landscapes behind, and many creatures from giant insects to ancient amphibians faced extinction. Synapsids, the mammal-like reptiles that had dominated the Permian, were nearly wiped out, as were most of the lush ecosystems that had evolved over millions of years. The Earth became a ghostly place, its ecosystems reduced to scattered survivors in a landscape marred by devastation. But from this darkness, new opportunities would arise. Life that managed to endure the chaos would lay the groundwork for the next chapter in Earth's story. As the planet recovered, it would slowly give rise to the Mesozoic era, a time when an entirely new group of creatures, the dinosaurs, would emerge to dominate and reshape the land. Across millions of years, Earth transformed itself, each era laying the groundwork for what would follow. The Cambrian explosion filled the oceans with life. The spread of plants and arthropods brought ecosystems to land. The Carboniferous forests and oxygen-rich air supported giant creatures, while the Permian's harsh landscapes tested life's resilience. Then came the Great Dying, which, despite its devastation, cleared a path for new species. In the wake of this extinction, life rebuilt, paving the way for the Mesozoic era and the rise of dinosaurs. Each phase contributed to a world where complex life, eventually including humans, could flourish. If this journey through Earth's history captivated you, please like this video, share and subscribe for more, and let us know in the comments, what intrigues you most about life before the dinosaurs?